Hey you guys, and welcome to what is going to be the start of more sit-down chatty mommy videos, which many of you have requested to come back. In today's video, I decided to talk about breastfeeding and how things went with breastfeeding Leah, my second baby. I guess I never really talked about it a whole lot outside of the vlogs. It just wasn't as eventful of a journey as Olivia's was, so I just kind of figured like it was almost like textbook perfect, so I just kind of figured that it wasn't very interesting to put online. But we did have, you know, a few slips here and there. She has teeth now, so we have a little something to talk about. I thought I'd also share how long we plan on breastfeeding as well. I'll get to that in the end. So let's just start right from the beginning with breastfeeding Leah. So right after she was born, I would say like maybe 10 minutes after she was born, I was holding her and I had taken off my nightgown. This isn't in the birth video. And I was still just in the same position that I had just birthed her in. She started bobbing at my chest basically right after my midwife helped me take off my birthing gown. And so I decided to try to give her the nipple, and it wasn't really working out so well in that position. It wasn't like an instant latch kind of situation. I know some people have said like their baby just was like on. With Olivia it was a lot worse, but with Leah it definitely did take a little bit of coaxing, and I was like, how about I get a little bit more comfortable and we get on the bed and we try it like that. After my placenta came out, we decided to just put me on the bed with a whole bunch of like these big diaper pads because I was bleeding everywhere. It was gross. Once we sat down, I had a couple of pillows on me. I think it may have been one of my nursing pillows as well. I can't quite remember. I think it was. It did not take very long for her to latch. I would say it took her probably, oh goodness, like she was just kind of sitting there squirming around for maybe like 30 seconds or something like that, and then she took it in and she actually had a really good latch. My midwife said she did really well. So that was just like huge relief, because I remember trying for a good 5 or 10 minutes with Olivia, maybe even more, it probably was longer, of like me, my husband, and my midwife trying to get Olivia on the boob, and nothing would work. And when she finally did get on, it wasn't such a great latch either. I feel like this time my mommy instincts as well were just so much better. With Olivia, I was pretty flat-chested. With Leah, my boobs were not quite as small when I had Leah because I had just breastfed a baby. I was pregnant. I think they definitely grew a substantial amount, like a whole cup size, even so I'd stopped breastfeeding Olivia beforehand. I feel like my boobs did grow a good amount, and the nipples were worked and they were bigger and pointier because of Olivia in the past. So I think that also comes into play, because I really remember just having such a hard time getting hold of my nipple, because at the time I barely had a handful worth of boob when I was breastfeeding Olivia. So that was really challenging, and they were quite high up. They were a lot perkier, so I had to like hold her into a higher position. So it really wasn't the best case scenario when it came to trying to latch your first baby on. I feel like there was a lot of things with Leah that definitely helped along the way of making the latching process easier. I do think that if Leah were to have been the first, I don't think we would have had as much struggle as we did with Olivia. I think there was a couple of reasons why me and Olivia did have so much trouble. I think it was a combination of me being a first-time mom, not knowing how the heck to do this, having kind of smaller chest, also just having a fussy, very challenging newborn was not helping at all. So Leah was a lot more chill. So after I got her on the boob, she was there for a really long time as well. I'd say she was on one side for a good 10 minutes, and she just like really soothed and calmed down that way. I feel like she felt very at peace. When we did get Olivia on the boob, she only latched and then kind of unlatched kind of situation over and over again. And then when Leah did unlatch, I decided to just put her on the other side. I was used to doing it from having a baby before, so I just kind of, I was all by myself, nobody was around. I just turned her onto the other side and gave her the other one, and she latched onto the other side actually better than the first side. Maybe it's because she already had latched onto one of my boobs, but it was great. And then my husband came in and I was like, she's on the other side. And he was like, I mean, I seriously felt like crying. I think I was really teary-eyed actually the moment that Leah did latch. That's something I forgot to mention. I was really emotional because it was something I was really scared about doing, was breastfeeding my second. It was something I was really stressed out about. So to see that everything was working the second time around so easily and so well was just, it was just such a blessing, and I felt so lucky. And I automatically, with Leah sitting there, like we had like this connection sort of instantly. I had that with Olivia as well, but you know, I kind of, in a way, like I think when you first meet your baby, you really get to know their soul and their spirit. I just remember sitting there with Olivia with the breastfeeding and being like, oh man, you're gonna be a troublemaker, aren't you? And then when I was breastfeeding Leah, I was just like, wow, I have never met anybody so at peace in my entire life. Like, it just really helped me relax, and I think that's what helped breastfeeding go so well later on as well, is because like Leah's very relaxing, peaceful nature definitely rubbed off on me, and I was able to relax easily, especially during our breastfeeding time. One little tip that I do remember with Leah, and this was just sort of a weird mommy instinct thing, or maybe it was something I remembered from first time breastfeeding Olivia. Nobody was in the room again, and Leah unlatched, and I couldn't get her to latch back on, and I wasn't really sure why, and I was like noticing my nipple was like really slippery from her saliva, and maybe I read this in one of my books, I can't remember, but what I did was just take some of a cloth and I just wiped my nipple dry, and she latched right back on. I think that babies, when they're learning how to latch onto the boob, it's a lot easier when they have a dry nipple to latch onto. Like a really dry pointy nipple definitely helps, and like, you know, pushing it outwards towards their mouth really helps, trying to get it into a perfect little shape for them to just suckle right in, because it's not easy for them. They're still learning. Breastfeeding is not this natural thing. Like, no matter who you are, like, there is some steps that need to be taken. It's not like the baby, well, in some cases I guess there have been some where the baby just finds the nipple on its own, but from I don't think I know anybody personally whose child has done that. I have seen a couple YouTube videos of it. I think my milk came in with Leah something like the second or third day. It really did not take very long for the milk to come in. I feel like it took a little longer with Olivia for the milk to come in. I can't quite remember even how long it took. But when it came in very good. I was very engorged, very full. My boobs had grown at least 2 or 3 cup sizes during that time. It's always the most uncomfortable stage of breastfeeding, but I would definitely have to say that Leah drained the boobs a lot better than Olivia ever did, so I had a lot less discomfort, and she had a really good latch as well. But there was definitely some soreness. I won't say it was totally sore free. I definitely did experience no bleeding or cracked nipples, but they were definitely sore for the first latch, but it really wasn't anything too bad to complain about. I didn't even really need to put on any kind of salve. As most of you guys know, Leah, she was born on the smallest growing curves. Olivia was as well. She was maybe only, well, she was a little bit bigger than Olivia. She was like something like 5 or so ounces bigger than Olivia was, and her height though was a little bit shorter, so they were probably roughly around the same size actually at birth. As a lot of you guys know, Olivia, she dropped some weight in the beginning, and she also, all babies do drop a little bit of weight, but Olivia dropped a little bit more than what's recommended. Leah did not drop very much weight at all, and I would say like at her first checkup when we went to go do her growing curves things, I can't remember everything exactly because it was such a long time ago, but she went from the smallest growth curve for weight to above average. So she jumped a bunch of growing curves. She went from like the, I think like, what is it, 10 percentile in America is what you would say, to the like 70th percentile for weight. She was chunking up really fast, and then her height was, you know, pretty short still, but she was definitely chunking up. I think you guys can especially remember like Leah just had really big thighs. She still kind of does, but like they were a lot bigger back then, and you know, lots of belly rolls, big arms. She wasn't like a huge baby or anything. She was a very petite little chunky baby, and I really wanted to experience having the little baby roll thing this time, so that was really cute and exciting to see, and I was so happy with myself to see that my milk was capable of really growing this baby. And I think that, you know, things could have gone a lot better for Olivia. We did have such a horrible start. Her latch really wasn't that great. We were using nipple shields for a few months. You know, we'd had a lot of issues. You guys can go check out Olivia's breastfeeding stories if you want. I did still end up breastfeeding Olivia for 18 months, in case you're wondering. So from that point on, there really wasn't much going on. Breastfeeding was just easy. It was something very natural for us. We were, you know, breastfeeding has always been really easygoing. I did have a clogged milk duct I can't remember when anymore, but I have a video about it. It freaked me out because I found a lump in my boob, and I went to the doctor and they said it's a clogged milk duct and stuff, and it wasn't anything super painful or super bad or anything like that. I don't really have too much to share when it comes to milk ducts or mastitis or any stories like that. I'm sure something a lot of you guys want to know is, since becoming a vegan, has my milk supply changed at all? A lot of people are worried about changing their diet or lifestyle because of their milk supply, and I would say I started switching over to a more plant-based diet around September. So Leah was 4 months, and I was still eating some animal products at that time. Everything was actually going a lot better. I actually started noticing a lot more engorgement. I think it was because of the up in water I was drinking. Definitely, oh, that's another tip. Just drink so much water. Like, drink way more than you thought you could ever drink when you're breastfeeding. It's so important, and if you're suffering with low supply, that is like the best thing you could do. I never suffered with low supply with Leah, but with Olivia I did, and I had to drink a lot of teas. I think with Olivia I really wasn't drinking enough water, and I think that it's just so freaking important. Above every other tip, make sure you are drinking something like 3 or 4 liters of water a day at least when you're breastfeeding, especially in the beginning. So yeah, like my water intake went up quite a bit, eating a lot more fresh foods, drinking a lot more smoothies, eating a lot more fruit, just kind of naturally went up. And right now I'm going through this phase kind of having a little bit of an engorgement problem at night. My body is just not really adjusting very well to the fact that Leah has stopped feeding at night. She doesn't feed anymore in the middle of the night pretty much. So I think it has something to do with my plant-based diet. I think it's because I do drink so much water, and I do eat such nutrient-rich foods now. I think that my body just thinks, woo, let's make some really good milk for the baby, you know? So I think that definitely, I don't think that the animal products really have much to do with maintaining good milk supply. Sometimes at the doctors, they did worry about me being a vegetarian, saying like I should be eating more iron-rich foods. The blood tests came back good for both me and my children when it came to the iron. I think really what's very important, because I have a friend right now who is having some problems with her baby, they're meat eaters, with iron. Like the baby's very pale and doesn't have a whole lot of red underneath the eyes. The doctor is recommending at like 6 months old that she cooks meat for the baby, like boils it in water, and I think that's just disgusting and just weird for a 6-month-old baby. I don't know what kind of advice this was. It's like, how about you try just because you're breastfeeding, you can give the iron off through the milk. So either drinking like a red beet juice, taking a supplement, and also increasing your vitamin C. I think in our culture, because we're eating not as much fresh food, and we're not eating a lot of fruit, our vitamin C is really, really low, and your body can't absorb iron properly without vitamin C. Switching on to a plant-based diet, it's just been a lot better breastfeeding wise. Like milk supply is a lot better. And as a vegetarian for 5 years, I've never had any problems with my kids being weak or having iron deficiencies or anything of that sort. So that's something I wanted to address as well, because I'm sure a lot of you guys wanted to know. Right now, the only challenge we are facing is Leah has teeth, and she does occasionally bite just by accident. It's not on purpose, and she looks really, really sad when I tell her, no, don't do that, because I have to correct her, and she doesn't understand that she did something wrong, but she does know not to do it again. So it's really usually just accidental, and it's really not all that bad. There has been a couple really bad ones, no blood or anything like that, but everything's going really good. I do plan on, sorry, there's some construction going on around here. I do plan on breastfeeding her probably a good another 6 months. I'm not exactly sure yet. We're just gonna have to see how it goes. I would like to breastfeed her to a year if she's willing to go there, and I will update you guys then. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye! The first night Olivia was with us, like, you know, the first night was really, really hard. We couldn't get her to latch all of a sudden, and we couldn't really call anybody, but she refused to latch like the whole night. She would just scream her head off, and so we basically thought, well, maybe she's just so tired and she just wants to soothe suck and she's having a hard time with that. And then my husband thought, oh, he was getting so frustrated. He's like, he was tired too because we both hadn't slept in a couple days. He's like, I'll just go buy a pacifier tomorrow.